The English Channel, 560 kilometers of freezing water that connects the North Sea to the rest of the Atlantic. Crossing the Channel, the shortest distance between France and England is the Strait of Dover. Here, since 1875, there have been only over 2,000 people across the world who have successfully swam, unaided, across this cold and desolate stretch of salty water. The swim can take up to 30 hours to complete. Swimmers have to battle fierce currents and unforgiving winds. To qualify for the swim, you may only wear a swimming costume, swimming cap, and goggles. This year, Bruce Salt was the second Namibian and first Namibian male to successfully swim across the English Channel, and it was his first attempt. With us tonight in studio is philanthropist and entrepreneur Bruce Salt to talk about his journey across the Channel, as well as the touching reason that drove him to complete this grueling challenge. Good evening, viewers, and welcome to One Exclusive. Now, Namibia has produced a few greats over the years. People like Frankie Fredericks, who was one of the first people to break an Olympic record in athletics. We have Michelle McLean, who was the first Namibian to win the Miss World contest in 1992. And now, decades later, Bruce Salt is the second Namibian to cross the English Channel. Bruce, good evening.
Hi.
Welcome to One Exclusive.
Thank you very much.
Now tell me, what brought you to a point where you decided you are going to swim across the English Channel?
It happened about almost 5 years ago. My brother passed away from lymphoma, and he was kind of one of the drivers, I would think, that got me started. I always wanted to do the Robben Island swim, and then a year after he passed away, I did the Robben Island swim, and I thought if I can do the Robben Island, I'm sure I can give the English Channel a go. Right. So that was one of the main driving forces.
Okay, and Tommy, you haven't been doing this for fame and fortune. Obviously, you have done this to collect money and donations for people suffering from cancers like lymphoma.
What we did was when Neil was down in Cape Town, he saw that there were a lot of people who were on their own suffering. So he thought there's got to be, I can't understand why people were doing this by themselves. And he was lucky enough in the financial position to be able to afford one of us to come with him while he was going through whether it was the first consultation or the chemo or the radiation. So he thought, no, there must be something we can do. So the idea and his legacy is that we established the Cancer Care Namibia Fund, which basically is there to provide emotional support for somebody with cancer. So in other words, if I had cancer, the fund would provide for my wife to come and give me emotional support. So we'd provide accommodation, transport. We're just lucky now in Namibia we actually have a local facility. In those days everything went in South Africa. So that was the initial thought, and that's how we started Cancer Care Namibia Fund. And then the initial fundraiser was the Robben Island swim that I mentioned earlier. Was the first fundraiser, and then I thought, okay, let's bring it home, and we did a second fundraiser, which I swam from Pelican Point across the bay to Guano Island in Dolphinstrand. And then this is now the third fundraiser which we've done for the fund. Okay. So that's kind of where it came from.
Now, Bruce, we've spoken a little bit about, really the decision that you made to kind of start with this Cancer Care Namibia and everything behind it. But why the English Channel?
It's something that I could do. I thought I could do. So, and then the cherry on the cake was the fact that no Namibian male had done it before. There's been a female, Bobby Jo Bathingthwaite, in 1999, but no males actually swam the channel.
Mm-hmm. Did you cross at the narrowest point? I think it's Dover Strait?
Yeah, so you basically go from Dover, if you take it straight across to Calais. That's sort of the narrowest part between the two.
Fantastic. Now, can you give our viewers an indication? There's a lot of planning and a lot of logistics that goes on around something like this.
The starting point is normally trying to find an actual slot. It could take you a year up to 2.5 years to find a slot. There's only certain pilots, as they call them, skippers, that do the crossing, and you've got to contact them and then try and find out who's got a slot. Some skippers give you 2 days, some skippers give you a week sort of window to do the swim.
Okay, is that because of the weather?
Yeah, the season is from, I would say, from July through to October. Okay. And then they're actually normally fishermen. So that's kind of what they do. Yeah, they're fishermen around Folkestone and
So
Dover.
These skippers are actually people who understand the channel and its currents and its weather patterns?
Correct. They're in the strait the whole time. They're in the channel, should I say. most days, whenever the weather allows. They fish, and then if they don't, then they do the channel crossings.
Okay. And obviously it costs quite a bit of money. Did you get a lot of local support?
There's been other corporates that have also got involved, and then just the support at home, amazing. There's been so many people involved. Anybody donating from 100 to 10,000 Namibian dollars.
And I mean, you are literally in this ice and cold water for over 13 hours. Can you tell me, obviously there's specific equipment you might need. Is there anything special that you had to take along on your trip?
The rules for the English Channel, for those who don't know, is you're only allowed a cap, goggles and a speedo. So there is no equipment. Right. Yeah. So you're allowed channel grease, they call it, which is sort of a version of Vaseline. And then you use that for friction and a bit of warmth. You start at Dover, it's between Dover and Folkestone on the beach. You jump off the boat, swim to the beach, stand up, and then you start. You're not allowed to touch the boat at all the whole way through. I did feeds every half an hour. You try and limit that to sort of 30 seconds, firstly because you're doing it probably 25, 30 times. That's another sort of half an hour that you're adding on there. And then also the current is so strong. Every time I did a feed, I lost about 30, 40 meters. So you want to be quite quick. Equipment we took with would be like this reel that you use for feeding, which sort of has carabiners on, that you hook the water bottle and the little Tupperware that I can get some food in.
It's cold and it's dark, and you are the only person in the water for kilometers around you. You are guided by a small light in the distance, and this will be your fate until the sun rises before you. Then it will be another few hours before you reach the shore. Bruce Salt embraced this challenge as a tribute to his brother Neil, who lost his life battling lymphoma. With nothing protecting him from the cold other than swimmer's grease, Bruce battled the icy waters of the English Channel for just under 14 hours. Next up, we speak to Bruce about the emotions he faced during the journey, as well as his intentions to raise funds in order to provide much-needed psychological counseling to those and their loved ones who suffer from cancer. Let's get to the actual day. Tell me, what kind of emotions were you facing at that stage?
There was a lot of tension and stress. Let me just give you a bit of background. We were there a week before. I was meant to swim 27th, 28th. That didn't work out. And just to tell you, there's 4 of us living in sort of a trailer caravan kind of thing. And you wait every day till 7 o'clock. You call the skipper. He says yes or no. He says no. Then you wait another day, and so it continues. And then by Thursday of the week before, he was like, I don't think it's going to happen, rather go away. So we decided, let's go back to London, pretend to be a tourist for a while. And then finally on Saturday, we called him and said, okay, you're on. And then we drove down Sunday morning or Sunday lunchtime, got there, and now we were going to start swimming at 1 o'clock in the morning. So you don't know really, do I sleep, don't I sleep, when do I eat, what do I do? So, and then obviously you're pacing around the caravan and outside.
It's pitch dark, yeah.
Yeah, but I was grateful. The timing worked better because if I'd done the swim the week before, I would have started at about 6 or 7 in the morning, which meant I would have finished in the dark. So I quite liked the fact that I was starting at night. I just have never done that before. I've started at early morning, but never pitch dark and then not slept through the night and then gone through. So once we got the go-ahead, he said, no, we must meet him at Folkestone Harbour at 12 o'clock. And then got down there, he was there, I started warming up, and then we got onto the boat, and sort of 15 minutes later we were at sort of the drop-off point. I had to take off all the clothes, obviously to keep warm. It's about 11, 12 degrees. Put on the grease, and obviously also there's a strobe light so they can see me at night, and jump in. It was quite chaotic when I got there, because for some reason, obviously I knew, because the weather was so bad, that there was 7 other boats at the same time. So there were people in boats, but as soon as we started, obviously everything cleared out quite nicely. And then got going, but I was quite surprised how rough the sea was. So there's no sensory stimulation. Yeah. So you've literally got the little boat, and it's not like a spotlight, a little sort of cabin light of the boat. And then every now and then you see obviously a big container, 1 or 2 lights that come through, and 1 or 2 of the cruise ships. And I was lucky the stars were out, so it was quite nice to sort of have the stars.
And I mean, just the risk in that, I mean, the disorientation that you could face.
The swell was actually hitting me at a 45, which I wasn't used to. So it was actually trying to roll me over. So I had to learn to swim with my legs open, which is kind of a weird adjustment. Because if I didn't, it would kind of just kept rolling me. And then luckily I had a little bit of surf ski background, so I actually learned how to ride the waves. So I'd actually ride them. But the trick was, it was helping me, but it was pushing me away from the boat. So I'd sort of go away, and then back. And then so I was zigzagging sort of backwards and forwards. And as you say, next thing you're 30 meters away from the boat, then you're back next to the boat, then you're away from the boat. And it is kind of a surreal experience, I would think, just to sort of be out there by yourself. There's a lot of things go around in your head,
And I mean, how long have you, or how far have you swam before the English Channel? I mean, obviously, there's a lot of training that went into this.
The furthest I swam before that was a 6.5-hour training swim, which was roughly about 20 kilometers. But it was down in South Africa in Langebaan. It was flat, it was calm, it was during the day. It was cold, but it wasn't quite crazy and sort of in the dark as what we had. But as I said, it was kind of eerie at night. The blessing was that I just focused on the sunrise coming up, and I knew once the sun was up, things change, And I've heard from other people, mountaineers and whatever else, as soon as you see that sun coming up, things change. And that's exactly what happened. As the sun came up, everybody on the boat, and obviously myself, everybody was just awake. They weren't as cold. They were moving around, And then I knew, okay, I'm in for it. I can finish this.
Now, how? I mean, over these 13 hours, obviously you don't have the same motivation throughout it. What was the toughest stage for you when you were in the waters?
After the first 4 hours, I thought it was going to be a long day. It was, as I said, was wild. What we also didn't expect was that current. I've done a lot of swimming in the sea and feeding to get used to sort of being on the side of the boat, not touching the boat, because you basically tread water and then people, when we feed you, you can chat, which is quite nice. So you get to be able to talk to everybody sort of half an hour. But in this case, I couldn't talk to anybody because as they throw it down, I'm sort of getting sucked along, and you've got to do it as quick as possible. So you're not even getting to talk to anybody. So literally for the first, I'd say 8 hours, I didn't speak to anybody. I'm literally just grabbing stuff and every now and then shouting some sort of feed that I would like or whatever it was, or whether I wanted tea or whether they gave me juice or, So it was, that was very tough, and that took some getting used to. And then as I said, once the sun came up, things had changed. And then towards the end was really tough. I was, if you follow the actual diagram, you'll see it's a big S, but towards the end I was just before 12 hours, I was almost home, and then the tide turned. And I missed it by about half an hour, and that added about 2 hours to my time. So you're literally swimming parallel to the coast. I could see it, it's about 800 meters, and you just can't get there. So the boat says to stay with you. Afterwards, I found out that some swimmers have decided they're just going for it, and they've obviously also not got through. But so luckily, I didn't even have that thought in my head. But you pretty much swim along, and that was the tough part because I couldn't understand. I'm like, the coast is there, let's just finish this. Yeah. And they said, no, you've got to stay with the boat, And it just got rougher and rougher, and obviously I got more tired. And then they explained, and I was like, okay, fine. And then, as I said, and eventually they said, okay, you're in it, or you're out of the current, should I say, and there's the coast. So.
And I mean, the thing is with this, a lot of people probably do fail their first and maybe even their second or third attempts. So you're literally being thrown into the deep end. Did you swim around in the area before you crossed the English Channel just to make yourself used to the water?
There is an area in the Dover harbour that they have for English Channel swimmers, but I mean it's calm water, it's in the harbour, yeah. But it does make you feel more comfortable swimming. I mean, I don't know if you swimming in the Swakop Sea and then going swimming in the Cape Town Sea, it's very different. You sort of feel more comfortable, or I do anyway, in the sea that I'm familiar with. Yeah. So it did take a bit of an edge off to be able to sort of swim in the Dover harbour, and we did that 3 or 4 times. Just to take, and also relieve a bit of stress and keep the muscles going, and so not big swims, but some swims, yeah. So luckily I had that opportunity, that's the extra time.
13 hours is a long time. Were there any, other than the tide now at the end, that kind of veered you off a little bit, were there any big surprises?
No, the main thing, as I said, was just that current that pushed me with the feeds. Obviously the size of the sea, I've never swum in sea like that before. Yeah. So if anybody is trying it, I would suggest that they swim in, don't wait for the good days to go swimming, swim in the bad days when it's rough and wild. And, once you start, I wasn't going to stop, so you're in it, so I just decided, let's just give it a go, yeah.
And I'm sure your family here at home was sitting on the edge of their seats during all of this.
Yeah, I didn't realize how Namibia and parts of the world actually came to a stop because we started a WhatsApp group. And I only got to read it sort of 2 days afterwards, once I sort of recovered and I started going through and then speaking to people back home. And obviously a lot of people had an early day because it was about also the same time. I think it was an hour difference. So a lot of people had early starts. I kept them busy the whole day. And then towards the afternoon, when I think they thought they could do some work, I threw in a bit of drama by not being able to finish so quickly, you know. So no, it was amazing the support I got back home and from other friends all over the place. So it was really inspiring. And that was one of the motivators as well, as why there's no ways I was coming back and not finishing it, you know. Without some another 4 hours or 6 hours, I was going to get it done.
Is this the last that we're going to be seeing of you?
No, I don't think so. I'm hoping to swim some more. I'd like to again make it local. Being a proud Namibian, I'd like to make sure that we bring something here. I've always wanted to do, and I was hoping to do it during my training sessions, is to swim from Pelican Point to Swakop, so lighthouse to lighthouse. It's about a 25k swim. As far as I know, nobody's swum that yet. There should be a bit of a swell pushing me along, but then it is open sea swell and it should be quite cold. So I'm looking forward to giving that a go.
Bruce, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, that is all from us this evening. If you have anything to share, comments, queries, opinions on tonight's show, SMS us at 555. And remember that each SMS is charged at $1 Namibian. Good night. Stay tuned after the break for clips from Bruce Salt's journey across the English Channel.